Hamentashen, the most delicious of all the Taschen. Delectable triangles of buttery goodness with sweet, sweet filling. They are traditionally associated with the Festival of Purim and the exploits of Queen Esther, whom we remember by eating her genocidal enemy's hat in cookie form, as one apparently does for great queens. So show a little respect and prepare yourself to eat some hat. Of course, one cannot eat what one does not possess. So you may ask yourself, how the hell am I supposed to get a delectable buttery triangle with sweet, sweet filling? Well, fret not. Today, Kitchen of the Dan will unveil to the entire internet the secrets of making a proper Hamentashen. Step one for Hamentashening is to secure your ingredients. There are only two, filling and dough. So you will have to make those two things. Let's start with the filling. Start with a pan full of your favorite dried fruit, about one layer, and try not to use apples or pears because they don't have quite enough pectin to hold this stuff together. Put it in a pan, cover it with water, and set it to simmer for about 15 minutes. We will employ the magic of video to skip over a lot of that. As it starts to boil down a little bit, give it a little bit more water. It's better. Once you like the way it's looking in the pan, you can take it over to a food processor or a blender would work as well. Put your delightful, delicious filling into the bowl of your processor. Try to get it all in, as I sometimes fail to do. There we go. And pulverize it into mush. Wow! Fig, prune, and raisin. This is spectacular. When you're satisfied with what you've got, set it aside. Put it in the fridge to cool. Ingredient 1 is done. Ingredient 2 is dough, the absolute critical foundation to any proper Hamentashen. We start with 3½ cups of all-purpose flour, to which I will add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, cooked before tasting, and half a teaspoon of flaky baking salt. I'll give these a quick mix up, and then we will turn to our stand mixer. Let's begin on this side of the table with 2 cups of granulated sugar and 2 sticks, or 1 cup, of tepid butter. This stuff should cream up pretty easily for us. Set these to cream thoroughly. You can knock them off the side a little bit to make sure you're not missing any of the buttery goodness during this process. But once you've got well creamed butter and sugar, add 2 eggs, one at a time. That was egg number 1. Here comes egg number 2. I'll give it a quick scrape down again before I add the rest of my moist ingredients. Yes, they are moist, and I don't apologize for it. About a teaspoon of vanilla, about a teaspoon and a half of orange blossom essence, and 2 tablespoons of cow milk. You can use other kinds of milk, but I really do find that this makes the best product. Mix until combined. Then lift out your whisk. Give it a tap to clean it up. And pop in your paddle, because we're about to start adding the dry ingredients. Gradually, but inevitably. We'll start with that much. And when it looks like there's not too much dry left in there, you can throw in a bit more. And a bit more. And we might as well finish off the job. Once the dough looks well combined, shut off the mixer. Separate it, if you can, from the dough hook. There we go. Some jobs aren't meant for spatulas, they're just meant for fingers. Turn the dough out onto a conveniently tidy surface and pat it down a little bit so that it's a tidy ball. Congratulations. Ingredient 2 has been concluded. We'll put this in the fridge as well, and when they're both nice and chill, we'll pick up with the actual construction of Hamentashen. So, once everything has had a chance to cool down, go back into the fridge, take some of your filling there and put it into a sturdy, closable baggie and cut off one little tiny corner. Take out your dough. Oh my goodness, that's good stuff. Take out your dough. I'm going to cut my dough approximately in half. And the other half goes right back into the fridge. The bit I'm going to work with, I'm going to use my hands at first to crush it into a somewhat disc-like or at least flatter shape so that I can roll it out. It crumbles a little bit. That happens sometimes. Once I've got something I think I can roll out, I'm going to use a liberal sprinkling of bench flour because this dough is a little moist. And I will begin rolling it out as thinly as I'm able. These little cracks, I'm just pushing them back together again. Doesn't make any difference at all. I'm trying to make this dough as thin as I can. About 1/8 of an inch, if possible. Thinner, if I can still manage it. Once the dough's as thin as you think you're going to be able to make it, it's time to start punching out the cookies. Each Hamentashen needs to be individually punched and folded, just like Haman was. So we'll start off with the technical stuff. This is a cookie cutter. You could also use a wine glass if you'd like, something with a thin edge, but remember, a little glass means lots of cookies, means you'll be doing this a whole bunch. You start off by punching one cookie into the dough as close to the edge as you can, and then repeat that until there's no more room for any more cookies. Once you've punched out as many as you can punch, pick up the excess dough and move these punched rounds to the side. This gives you some more room. It also guarantees that you'll be able to work with them. They won't be stuck to the tabletop. I'm using an offset spatula. You can use a knife or just about anything else, but I encourage you to use something other than your fingers. You'd like this dough to remain as cool as possible, and fingers tend to muss up the edges a little bit more than these metal tools do. Once you've separated out and cleaned up all of your rounds, and you're left with the scraps, roll them into a little ball. Try to keep them all together. And roll them out again. You've got more cookies in here. This time the dough is going to roll out a little bit more easily as it's a bit warmer. It also means it's more prone to sticking, so be careful that you use enough flour. All right. When there's not enough dough left to make another single decent Hamentashen, it's time to start adding your filling. I'm demonstrating with some variety that I have already produced. Put a nice dollop in the center of each one. Give it a little bit of height. Don't be stingy. It's Purim. Come on. Let's party. This one is poppy seed. This one is blueberry cherry. And this one over here is mango apricot. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, there's chunks of mango in it. This one came out really well. Now we get to the tricky part. So we're going to switch to the Tashen cam for a close-up on how to fold these suckers. Folding the Hamentashen. I'm going to raise up one side, raise up the next side to meet it, and raise up the third side to meet the other two. I press the corners together firmly so that they don't come undone in the oven. And that is going to be a delicious Hamentashen. I just need to do it to all of the rest of them and the other half of the dough. So I'll catch up with you momentarily. Once you've folded as many Hamentashen as you feel like dealing with on this particular day, put them into an oven that's been preheating at 375 for about 15 minutes until they look pretty much like this. These look pretty good. You should let them cool on the tray for at least 10 minutes before you transfer them to a rack, and let them cool completely before you serve them up, because some of them are pretty delicate if you roll them out thin enough. Every Hamentashen is a good Hamentashen, but a great Hamentashen is a cookie of valor. Queen Esther knew it. Groundbreaking Bavarian biscottier Hermann Taschen knew it. And after you've cooked up a batch of these bad boys, you will know it too. That brings us to the end of our time together today. On behalf of Hydropup International and Kitchen of the Dan, mahalo for your kokua. Hamentashen, amigos.